Hi. I've been wanting to talk a little bit about the important subject of suicide. Um, and the reason being is because there's a lot of talk about how this should be presented, and supposedly only um, groups that are nationally known feel like they have the authority to present this to different, present this in different formats to either students or groups of people. Um, I don't know if I really agree with that. I think there's no really right way to do it. I think the best thing to do is just to have the conversation because it is prevalent in our society and it's always been there. We just, we've seen a rise in it since probably 2008. I think since the smartphone, we've seen more of a rise, and I don't know if there's any correlation with that or not, but it's something to think about. All the news that comes by our way, and it's too much for people to take in sometimes. Anyways, I've been saving articles for probably a couple of years now, and excuse me, I guess this one, excuse me, this article kind of sums it up. The taboo of suicide, and I guess the taboo is a lot of time. This is a story that's written by a man that found his son who died from a gunshot wound. Um, that's from 2018 December. Anyways, something that we should not be afraid to discuss with our kids, especially if they may have some problems with other things, maybe showing signs of depression or what have you. Um, it's a hard thing to actually think of because if you feel like if you sometimes say something, you're putting something in their mind, but in reality, they're already dealing with those thoughts. So it's not anything you put into anybody's mind. If they're thinking about suicidal ideation and thinking about that kind of thing, it's already there. It doesn't matter if you avoid the subject and never bring it up, then that's gonna probably haunt you for a long time. I don't know. It's everybody has different styles. I know with me, I try to educate myself the best I could, and not that I did everything right because I really didn't, and I'm still learning things that I kind of wish I had done things better. And but I feel like we had a good conversation, a good relationship, my son and I, my son JT. Anyways, he's been gone for almost 4 years now, and it's pretty hard to believe. One thing I have learned, uh, one of the most important things that I would like to share with you, is to never, ever give up on anybody in your family. Never. Never. Even though they might do the same things over and over and over again, and in reality, you might be living your life thinking they're going to die and there's not anything I can do about it. Well, that is the reality. That is reality a lot of times. If someone's a drug addict or what have you, you just have to sit and watch. Sometimes things happen, and you can try to be as proactive and distract people the best way you can, but it doesn't always work because sometimes they make these split decisions so fast, um, as fast as a blink of an eye. They might be fine 1 minute, you know, they might have bought concert tickets, they might have ordered some stuff online. They were planning their life still. They weren't planning on exiting it, and then it just happened. So that's important. Never give up. I always had my radar on. If I noticed something was not right, I would not be afraid to ask questions. Without being overbearing and disrespectful, I'd say, I just need to know, do you feel like you're going to hurt yourself? Do you feel like you might hurt somebody else? Um, can I take you to the hospital? If you would like to go to the hospital, I would be glad to take you to the hospital. Whatever you need, I will help you do. Um, Tough questions. I was always there for my son, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. I don't have any regrets about anything that happened. Um, you can't, like, love can't save somebody if somebody dies from cancer. Love can't save them. It'll certainly make their journey easier. Um, but when your life is diminishing, my son's life diminished, and he didn't think of his life as terrible because he still tried to find light in things, and he tried to help people, and he had a kind soul, and sometimes he would get himself in trouble by maybe drinking, or he just struggled. He struggled. Um, anyways, he was afraid. He was terrified. So it really changed the person that he was. The disease, his brain changed, and it made him afraid, terribly afraid, extremely afraid, afraid of people, being in crowds. He did not like to go to movie theaters. Didn't want to go to the grocery store. He never left the house for like the last 2 months of his life. So he didn't think of his life as being terrible. I think he felt like it was unmanageable sometimes, even on medication. He still had problems with hearing voices, but they were a little bit less annoying. But he was able to function. He was able to function better being on medication. It just isn't. It doesn't fix what's going on with somebody when their brain is deteriorating. It doesn't fix them. Sometimes when people maybe do something that's shocking, they might hear commands from something evil, an evil force. They might hear a couple of voices telling them to do something. They might be taking messages from God. God might be challenging them and say, hey, are you up to this task to prove that you love me? These things, these actually are things that have happened. And I've had this discussion with my son. So I know. I'm glad he trusted me to share that with me. We will never understand suicide, but we cannot be afraid to let people talk about it. If they've lost someone in their family to suicide, just listen. You don't have to say anything. Just let them talk. Let them share the deepest grief. Don't be afraid of it, because it happens to people. Sometimes people just haven't had bad things happen to them yet, and really hope that they don't have bad things happen to them. But nobody is exempt from terrible things happening. Nobody is. My son did not do it to be selfish. He did not do it to hurt anybody in the family. I knew that day one. I knew that right from my husband and I both knew that. Maybe he felt like he could save our family by taking his own life, that nothing would happen to us. So I lost my son tragically and suddenly, and you might want to know what that feels like. All I can tell you is I felt like my heart was ripped right out of my chest. My body underwent a huge transformation, and I thought that I really was going to die, which I did share that with some people. I did not recognize myself, the person I was, for over a year. But it took me about 18 months before I started to remember my son for the life that he lived, because that is more important than how he passed. He lived a good life. He was a good kid, and had a lot of friends. And I don't know if I don't know. He had some friends that were good friends. He had some friends that probably weren't the best friends. But that's like anybody. Everybody has that happen to them. You don't realize till you're older, you get a little bit more selective about your friends. But friends are important. I always honor and respect my son. I'm very sad what he endured, because it did break my heart. And I'll never, it's always part of me. It's part of me. Part of me's gone. It's like losing a couple of arms or something. But it's okay. I have a good life now. I have a really good life. I honor him every day. I go outside. I connect with him in nature every single day. I see light skipping across the water when the sun's getting ready to go down, and it's just, wow, it's powerful. And I'm really glad I have that gratitude. I'm really grateful I have that gratitude, because what if I missed that gratitude? What if I just suffered for the rest of my life, stuck in a cycle of grief about my son, not getting beyond what happened to him? And I'm so glad that I remembered for what he did in his life. I'm so glad. I'm really, really grateful. He's a good kid. I want to talk a little bit about, I found some other articles here. There's an article here, The Sound of Silence, when there are no words, when people don't talk to you. That happens. That's somebody who lost their father. I have a friend that lost her father probably 40-something years ago, and she did tell me after she saw the film that she thanked me, because she said that it really brought to her mind about her father, how she was angry with him for so many years because he took his life. And it was at a time in her life when she probably needed her dad too, because she was just 18. And anyhow, she thanked me because she saw her father as a person that had struggles, and she hadn't seen that before. She had only been angry about what he did to himself and what he left the family with, that legacy of, people know you as, oh, you're the one whose father took his life. You're the one, I feel like people look at me like that sometimes too, and it's okay. It's really okay. But I did go to a NAMI thing one time, and this woman who lost her son, she said she just wished somebody remembered her for not being that person. I really didn't understand it, but I think that maybe she felt outcast because people never had a real conversation with her. They just never talked about that, what happened to her. So that's a very alone feeling when that happens. So unresolved grief can be really hard for people who've lost a parent to suicide when they were very young, or a sibling. And we also heard from somebody also that had suicidal, they really wanted to take their life, and they had lost a brother, a very close brother, and thanked us for making the movie because he's not at that place anymore. But it's really important for families to remember when someone has passed in the family, a sibling, please don't ever ignore the sibling that's left over, because sometimes they are in such deep grief, they may turn to drugs, they may have something terrible happen to them. So you have to pay attention to your whole family unit. It's really important. But in the end, this is what I want to talk about right here. This is what it's all about right here. Love, 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 love. You know what? I can't believe it. I have so much more love for people than I ever had in my life. I'm so grateful for people that I know. We've had so many people reach out to us. Michael has been blessed with so many nice people, and I'm really glad for him. He needs to have a full life too. So I think that's a good thing. We could never have enough love. Don't forget it. Thank you.